Okay. Welcome everybody to Talking Niagara with me, Peter Giblett, and him, Dave Wheeler. Morning, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I had to shut off the World Series last night. It was getting too late, but I
Yeah.
found out this morning it was
18,
the longest
18
game.
innings, eh? 18 innings and
18
they lost by
innings.
one.
18 innings and the wrong team won.
Yeah.
18 innings. My God.
Normally, actually, it's the Blue Jays that seem to win a lot of those long innings games.
Well, it was anybody's game, let's put it that way. And it was finally over in 18 innings, but
At that
I
point,
mean, it was
it's like,
predicted. It was predicted that the Dodgers were going to roll over the Jays. There was even some people that thought that they were going to sweep the Jays. Well, I don't
yeah.
know. It's 2-1
Well,
in favor of Dodgers, but it's being tight games though. The last two anyway.
yeah. Well, generally speaking, when it comes to that, it's pitching that wins the series, right? And
Well,
generally, and there's good pitching on the Dodgers staff.
yeah,
I'm not
but
saying that Toronto doesn't have good pitchers, but I do know the Dodgers have got very good pitchers.
well, the Jays have shown what they can do. Obviously, in the first game, they beat the crap out of the Dodgers. So Dodgers were duly embarrassed. They won the second game. Their pitcher came in, and they had the pitch hitter Otani come in, and he hits a home run, which tied the game, and that's where they were right up until the very end. So there was a lot of heroics going on there. Anyway, it was
No, Otani was designated was a DH, wasn't he?
yeah, it was DH, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he came in and right away hits a home run. Like the guy's a legend. Unbelievable, that
Yeah,
guy.
curious if he actually pitched an inning at all in that entire game.
No, I don't think so. I think once
Because
he comes in as pinch hitter, it might disqualify him from.
no, he was a designated hitter the whole way through.
Oh, was it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was DH
Oh,
all the way through.
was it?
Right,
Wasn't paying attention.
wasn't pinch hitting as far as I know.
Well, that's
No,
right. They're using. Yeah, they're using the National League rules then.
no, there is no National League anymore. Everything is now American League rules. Right,
Oh,
they
okay.
unified the league 3 years ago.
Oh, and yeah.
The
Well, I remember.
designated hitter, but
So,
it occurs on both sides.
oh, funny, how did I miss that? Who was the pinch hitter for Jays?
I don't know the Jays DH is. I don't know the Jays side, but I know that when Otani, it just happens to be a fact that Otani plays as designated hitter when when he's not pitching.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So in relation to that tariff ad discussion that we were having yesterday, any further thoughts?
Oh, well, basically, Trump has come out and he says it's a fraudulent misrepresentation,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. It isn't. It is if you
No.
if you listen to the whole recording, it
Yeah.
was originally a radio broadcast, but somebody filmed it, and you can go through the whole video, and it's very clear that
7 minutes and 14 seconds. Very clear, very precise. I liked it. It was actually, I've never heard it before, but actually, it was good.
yes, I've heard that ever since sort of when Trump started, because somebody found it and put it on YouTube, and it would pop up every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so I think the Ford government was very smart in putting that up, very much, because it has, according to Ford, 11 billion views worldwide now. And that's obviously put the pressure on the Trump. And of course, Trump is indignant, and he's a baby basically. He took his ball and went home. He took his toys. I'm not playing anymore. You're mean to me. I mean,
well, my only objection about this ad is the 75 million that was put up by Ontario for it. I get 5-10 million. 75 is a bit OTT as far as I'm concerned.
No, I would say that we're playing a life and death game with an ignorant man. An ignorant man wants victories rather than good victories. He wants victories at any cost instead of having victories at a good cost. I think what he's doing is he's going to wreck a lot of the American economy. We see what's happened to the American farmers right now. They're a desperate case, like the beef farmers now are going to have to deal with competition from Argentinian beef after the Trump administration gave them $40 billion to bail them out. When the country is in huge economic debt, I don't know. I think the gloves are off basically, and you got to fight this guy with any tool you have. As an Ontarian, I'm gladly put up that $75 million to inform our American neighbors, because they don't. My friends in the States, or my one in particular friend, says that the average Americans hardly knows what's going on. They don't pay attention to this stuff. They don't understand the trade war. They don't like nothing like that. They just think. And if you, and a lot of them being in Florida, if you disagree with Trump, you must be a socialist or communist. So that's
and the thing is, they often use the word socialist or communist when the frigging word means.
No, they don't even know what it means. Yeah. Like when Speaker Johnson said, "Oh, you wait to that No King rally. They're going to have Hamas, and they're going to have communists, and they're going to have all this, and Antifa." It's going to be what it was the average American citizen by and large there.
Yeah.
They didn't know that Trump was going to get in an airplane and poop on them, mind you. Did you see that?
No.
Well, Trump put out a video on his Truth Social, I guess it was, where he gets into a jet. He has a little cartoon where he has I'm surprised you didn't see it. It was a big thing.
No, I didn't see it. No.
He's got a crown on, and he goes into a jet called No Kings or something like that. And then the jet goes over top of the demonstrators and dumps what appears to be excrement all over them. At first, I thought that must be a fake. No way would a president ever do anything like that. Not even Trump. But I was wrong. That guy is just an idiot. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I see. There's he's it's a mock. Yeah.
Yeah, and now kind reporters are saying he's dropping mud on them, but I guess the intent was to drop excrement all over the demonstrators. I mean, seriously, a grown man doing that? A grown man, the president of the United States, does that.
Oh.
You see what I mean?
Oh. That's a disgusting.
When I saw that, I thought, no way they're trying to set Trump up. They're trying to set him up.
But he now is wearing a throne.
Yeah, well, I thought when I saw that, that must be the left wingers trying to set Trump up, make him look bad, make it look as if that's what he did. And then no, there was no denial. And then Speaker Johnson had to defend it. oh, Trump is the king of the memes or the king of social media or some damn stupid thing. You know,
I've just seen the ad. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And that comes from Trump, but I still have trouble believing that was actually the president of the United States that actually did that. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it actually was released from JD Vance's Twitter.
It was from JD Vance's.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Or maybe True Social page. Yeah. That was the one that it faded away as it showed JD Vance. But that may just have been the effect of a retweet, I guess.
I don't know. Apparently, it was.
How do you say that in the modern era? Because Twitter is no longer. You don't tweet on X anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is it? A re-X or a retweet?
I think they just say message on X.
Yeah. No, and no, he shits on the people of the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm serious. Like when I saw that, I thought, oh boy, the left has gone too far. They've generated this thing and they're going to, that's stupid what they did. Because I just assumed it was the left that did it, the left-wing sort of influencers. I couldn't believe it when it actually was Trump. I thought they were trying to set Trump up and make him look bad. It was him himself.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I tell you, the guy's a petulant child. And he can't. He's got a thin skin. So you have Ontario has an ad pitching their side of the story on the World Series, and Trump has a hissy fit. I mean, he could have answered that in many different ways. And then he goes on the record and starts saying, like Reagan loved tariffs. He loved tariffs, which is a complete and utter lie.
No, that actual clip of Reagan, I have to say, was very well informed. He sat down. He had everything planned out. He was talking about American semiconductors not being allowed into the Japanese market. Right?
Yeah, and
it was an important thing for the computer industry back then.
Yes, and basically. At that time, the Japanese were kind of doing what the Chinese do now, have restrictive policies on imports. Japanese were making a lot of money on exports, and they were being protectionist. And Reagan said, look, if you're going to be protectionist, I'm going to be protectionist. And it's not a good idea to go down this road. And he's talking about one individual country.
Yeah.
Trump,
and he was talking about
and that was a very specific thing. Overall, you can very clearly hear that Reagan was a globalist as far as trade goes. He wanted free trade.
Yeah, and one of the things that he made it clear is that I'm announcing that we're implementing tariffs right now against Japan's semiconductor industry. It was very specific, and he was talking about a summit that they were going to in the next few weeks, and he was hoping that it would resolve that in the next few weeks. So the tariffs were there for a specific period, and he said we're hoping to resolve it.
Yeah, that was basically it. I don't want to go down this road, but
yeah,
if you do that protectionist thing, and he wasn't talking about the U.S. being protectionist, he was talking about Japan being protectionist.
Yeah,
and feeling that he didn't want to go down that road, that it was, and so basically it was very, very clear that he was a free trader. He was the one that signed the U.S.-Canadian trade agreement that was a precursor of NAFTA. He was all for the North American free trade. He was a visionary in that particular case. So whatever Trump said is a big lie. But Trump lying is nothing new. That's what he does.
Well, there was a count for the, there was a count for his last presidency where I think it was something like 48,000 lies that somebody had counted. I don't know how they count them, but still.
My big issue is I think Trump might in his boggled mind decide he wants to be an Olympic athlete, and the whole world is going to have to pretend he won whatever he does.
Yeah,
he's going to be running the 100-meter dash, and everybody has to stay behind him in the hour it takes him to do it, and then declare him the winner, just so they can get a good trade deal.
No, I got a better thing. You see, he won the Olympic gold medal shopping.
In what? You
for shopping.
For shopping?
Yeah, that would be more his style, you know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just have this. Or you can think of him if Trump was the pitcher for a baseball team, the Republicans would have to be the umpires, because no matter where the ball went, it would be a strike.
Strike out, you mean?
Yeah, it like the batter would be there and the ball would be going all over the place, and the Republican referee going, strike, you're out. Amazing pitching. And the batter says, well, it hasn't got over the plate yet.
Yeah. Okay. So Ford, the Ford government is put up Bill 60 last week and immediately reconsidering it in relation to, my understanding is during the course of the weekend, they got more than 15,000 emails, Ford did, about tenure of tenancy. And basically they've retracted that bit of it.
Oh, I didn't read that one. So tell us all about it.
Well, basically, Bill 60 went through, was announced last week by Housing Minister Rob Flack, or actually, to call him by his full proper title, it would be Minister of Municipalities and Housing, right?
Yeah.
So they announced Bill 60, which would basically have a whole heap of things, number of changes to the landlord and tenant board and procedures about landlord and tenant process. So, for example, if you are paying, if you don't pay your rent on November 1st, on November 2nd, you can get an N4, which then gives you 7 days to pay the rent under the new rules. It's 14 days under the current one. And after 7 days, they can go directly to the LTB with an L1 application. So they can take you to the tribunal immediately. And then under the way that operates, you can get the kind of very quick service, and then the tenant will be out, right? I think if you put in that kind of ruling, you also have to actually have a written system where the tenant says, I've got maintenance issues that you need to consider. Right, so they need to be able to flag that very quickly as well.
Yeah, I see your point there, that the tenant could be withholding rent for protest reasons.
Well, because the only one reason you're allowed to withhold rent is if you've got maintenance issues. Right.
Okay. Well, that seems fair, and so it seems that wouldn't really be included in this, though, would it?
Well, in fact, there is a procedure about.
Since that's already in the rules.
It's already in the rules. But the thing is, what they're doing is shortening the rules, is what they were doing. But the biggest issue about it is that they were going to, where there's a 10-year, at the end of 1 year, you go from a fixed tenancy to month. They were considering getting rid of the month-to-month tenancy move, and also making sure that you could then there was no such thing as what do you call it? The rent increases could go to anything.
Oh, okay. Well,
because,
is this part of the reaction to? Look, there seems to be a very long and extended line of tenant and renter complaints, particularly frustrating. It appears from what we've read a lot is that good landlords, if they're supposedly have a very difficult time getting rid of bad tenants.
Yes.
And it seems to be
it is true. It is true. And the rules are very precise and they have to be there for a reason. For example, if you make one mistake on that N4 application or notice you send to the tenant, you have to resend it.
Yeah, so that's been always a big issue, and we found that back when we used to talk to Maria Crude a lot and all that, that is a very big issue. She went on at length of how she screens her applicants, and it's right down to instinct. She does certain things. When I had townhouses, a real estate agent told me what to do. He said, look at this is the number one thing you have to do is look at their credit history. And that saved me a few times, because if you search their credit history and they have outstanding credit, that is a tell right there, no matter what they look like. I had a tenant, potential tenant company. He looked like $1 million, brand new truck, brand new everything. Was a businessman, in a construction business, and all that. When I looked into his credit, he owed money from here to Timbuktu.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, that there are still some people who have bad credit history but have got an excellent record in paying their rent.
Possibly, but for a renter, somebody who owns something and does not want to get into trouble right off the bat, do not take the risk of taking on someone who has a bad credit history, who has a history of not paying their bills. That's your number one line of defense. And anytime I hear about a lot of these people who are brand new renters, they buy a place and they're going to rent it. That's the first mistake they make, is they don't do a credit history.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
But on the other hand, the other thing is we hear a lot of, would this particular rule throw tenants out when they have this sort of renovation thing going on?
The renoviction rulings, there's been a lot of change over renovation, and both Toronto and Hamilton have actually put into place bylaws in relation to renovation, but basically at the end of the day, if you need to renovate an apartment building, if you're a landlord and you need to renovate an apartment building, there's a process to do it, and the landlord and tenant board will not care about Toronto's bylaws or Hamilton's bylaws. They'll just say, here's the ruling.
There you go. Okay, I just thought that getting rid of a tenant quicker.
It's a problem. It is very problematic unless you follow the procedures. You must follow the procedures, and in order to achieve it and cheaply, you have to have the plans and permits in place before you start.
Okay, but what I was, okay, so that's true, but it seems to be that's just has been a kind of a feint to get rid of.
It has
rid of tenants, and we hear about that a lot. Now we hear.
Well, the other one is
a huge backlog between between tenants and renters, basically, and landlords, going back quite a ways. I think if the Ford government wants to do anything, it would kind of try to throw a few more judges at this and clean that up.
Well, in fact, actually, there's, the numbers of applications going through the system have increased over the last 3 years. We're now, there's about 2 years ago, the Ombudsman report was complaining that was 35,000 applications going through the system. Now there are 55,000 applications going through the system. So it is a large number of applications going through the system, right? But they're dealing with them more effectively. And if you're going to compare, if you're going to compare just two of the largest tribunals out there, the Landlord and Tenant Board is acting much more effectively than is the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario.
Okay.
All right. HRTO is massive, has got massive backlog now, and probably is the one that if the Ombudsman were to check out now, the Ombudsman would be going after the HRTO rather than Landlord and Tenant.
Well, whoever is responsible, like I think the fact that our politicians have not stepped up to make that more efficient, and really have really encumbered a lot of people's lives, because the people can't make a decision on about anything, and so tenants and landlords are being jeopardized, particularly small landlords and tenants who are usually fighting big landlords. So the idea, like, if you really wanted to do a whole lot of service to everybody, like, pick up your socks and get at this stuff, throw some more resources at it.
I'd like to see a system whereby, and I reckon there are other people out there that disagree with me on this one. As a paralegal, I would like to see whereby there can be you can put the N4 in at a particular time, you wait for the number of days, and you put in the application to the board, and once the application's put into the board, unless the tenant puts up a maintenance intention to raise maintenance issues, then it would be a straightforward.
Oh, you're cutting in and out, man.
Well, I'm a great believer that we should be doing it more on paper, getting the L1s done as quickly as possible.
Okay, what else we got then?
Yep, let's move on. Okay, so what do you want to know about artificial intelligence? What do you need to know? What do you need to know about artificial intelligence? There's a questionnaire that has been put out by the local press, and they're saying they want to hear from you. So let's fill out this questionnaire right now.
Yeah, I posted this for because I have really no particular knowledge on AI. And this I thought was a clever thing, because I thought that whoever was responsible for this realizes the average person out there is, if I can't answer questions on AI, and I can't answer questions about threats of AI, if anyone was to ask me, why is AI supposed to be a threat? Why is AI the thing that is going to take so much power?
Let me ask you the question. How would you describe your current understanding of AI between I understand it very well and I don't understand it at all?
I don't understand it at all. Or maybe I've heard about it, but don't really understand it. That's it. That one there.
Okay, I get you. Okay. What would you most like to understand about AI? How does it make mistakes? How can it spread misinformation? Question one.
Yeah. I would say, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. What is the difference between human-made and AI-made content?
I think the one thing that's extremely important right now is how AI makes mistakes or spreads misinformation, particularly spreads misinformation. We saw the AI generated video of Trump pooping on all those protesters.
Well, that's clearly AI, right? It's clearly put together, right?
Yeah, it's interesting to note that Trump said that it was AI generated. The Ford ad on the World Series was AI generated. Right away, he tries to bring AI into it, and this is a current thing we hear more and more. We've known about fakes and stuff, but AI generated fakes are going to be extraordinarily good.
Yeah,
and so that's interesting. So
yeah. Okay, so what is actually what is good about AI? What are its strengths? Would you like to know that?
Yeah, I have an idea how AI just is like massive computer power put artificial intelligence can use and presume questions and propose answers. It can sort of project what the outcome is. If you start with an idea, I want to build a house in a certain area, AI can now begin to do a lot of the thinking on its own, project all the possibilities that you might be wanting to build such a house in such a place, and then begin to suggest things that you need to do. From what I hear, it can be pretty scary.
Yeah. Okay, so another question is, how are AI tools trained? Would you like to know more about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the link between AI and the environment?
Well, one thing I do know about that is AI is going to have potentially detrimental effect on the environment, because AI is going to consume enormous amounts of power, incredible amounts of power.
I would disagree with you, because in fact computers are using lower and lower wattage than ever before.
No, you're not listening, because AI is going to be expanding so much, and that is the biggest issue right now in the United States, is where are they going to get the power for AI? Each different computer may be more efficient, but even Carney said the other day, when it is the United States, he says, what would you rather do? The aluminum that is being made in Canada for the U.S. market takes 10 Hoover Dams to make, just the amount of aluminum we sent to the U.S. So if you want to make your own aluminum, you're going to have to think of the huge demands of electrical power for AI. AI is such that is the number one issue. Where is the power going to come from? And if the United States needs a lot of power, it's going to get it the easiest way possible, and that's building coal plants, because coal plants are easy technology. They can go up and be ready to go in a very short amount of time, and they have ample amounts of fuel for it. So the AI could have a huge detrimental effect on.
I know that AI uses more and more computers, but generally computers use less and less power.
No, well, that may be true, but read about AI and the power consumption. That's been an issue with it.
There's a lot of misinformation about AI and power drain.
No, there isn't. Not in this particular case.
Yes, there is.
Definitely. No, look it up, man. Look it up. That is the number one issue. How are they going to get the power to supply AI?
And most of it is misinformation on that topic.
Well, I don't know where you're getting your information, but that's been the number one issue.
I was in the
with AI from the very beginning.
I was in the computer industry. I've seen how much power reduction there has been in the computer industry. If we're talking about a computer industry, you're talking about being able to run at 150 miles an hour from Boston to LA teaspoon of gas. That's how effective the computer industry is today.
Well, every automotive sold now is way more efficient than it was 50 years ago, but you need way more gasoline than you ever did need because of the amount. And that's the issue. There's going to be more and more computing, no matter how efficient those computers are, that AI demands an enormous amount of electrical power because of it's just like cars. Like I said, you can get 50 miles per gallon. What?
AI demands increasing amount of computing capability, not electrical power, and that's the difference.
No, it's the amount.
With this one.
It's the amount. Look, every computer may be more efficient, but if you're running 10 computers, and then you get a brand new computer that's a lot more efficient, but now you've got 100 of them. You see what my point is here? The computing demand is going to be enormous, no matter how you can get. If you have 100 computers and they're 10 times more efficient than the 10 computers you were using the other time, but you're using 100, you're still using the same amount of power. You see what I mean? So the amount of electrical power that is going to be required to drive the AI revolution is enormous. And that is an issue with AI. And now we can further discuss this tomorrow if you want to bring articles, and I can bring articles, and we can have a debate here.
Yeah.
But that is the number one issue. As a matter of fact, Carney mentioned it the other day. The United States has to decide where it wants to put its power. Does it want to put its power generating electricity for aluminum, or does it want to use it for the AI revolution?
Okay, what are you most curious about with AI? How to use technology safely and responsibly, how to spot AI-generated content, how AI affects privacy and security, how you can use it in your professional life. And not that one's any use to you anymore, but you still could. How could you use it for Kiwanis, for example?
Well, I wouldn't have the first idea how we would apply it, but I see AI as a useful tool. I see AI as like a dictionary. Basically, I see AI as a computer program. Like if you want to simplify it down, you could take a computer program that could do all your accounting that used to take hours and hours to do. A computer can do it within a few seconds and actually put it all up and perfect and all that. I think AI is a tool. It seems that the problem with AI is the problem is that it can go on its own, that it can be used for malicious purposes. That is the fear of AI. One of the biggest fears of AI is AI will ignore you and do what it thinks it should do. That's an issue to me.
Yeah,
I have trouble believing that AI will go off on its own and start making decisions on its own. But we have been warned about this way back. Stephen Hawking's warned about it. AI.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion in the computer industry about how AI will react in that way, and there are many computing experts that believe it is very dangerous, and there are many computing experts that believe that there is no danger at all. Right, so the computer world is split about the dangers of AI in that regard.
Yeah, I think just about everybody realizes there is a potential of AI making uncontrolled.
But I think that decisions, if you don't make AI make decisions for humanity, use AI as a tool, then you shouldn't have a problem.
Well, that's the whole point. As you remember, I don't know if you remember, there's a movie way back, I think it was Henry Fonda was in it, where the supercomputers of the USSR and the supercomputers of the United States got together. They decided that they're going to do the world a favor and use the supercomputers of both the USSR and the United States, get them together in order to make the world a lot better by just making this supercomputer. And then that computer then took over because it started making decisions about war, about peace, about what anyone could do. The computer now begins to decide that it was important that humans survive, and they can't do that on their own. So the computer then took over. So that's the kind of thing that's in people's minds. It also, of course, there's lots of science fiction hoofra going on, but there is this general idea that AI is an extraordinary tool. It is very much, I think, when we think of Oppenheimer and his terrible realization about the weapon of the atomic bomb, and then later on the hydrogen bomb, and he very reluctantly thought that it is like way too much power. This could really take off, and the world could be really so. This was unknown power, and I think AI is in the same situation. It's going to be an extraordinarily powerful tool. The biggest problem I see is, and a lot of people do, is that AI will take over their jobs because it can learn so much.
Here's the thing. It's not so much, the way I see it is not so much about AI taking over a job, but I see it is getting AI to help me be way more productive than I am. If I can have AI do tasks like replying to, setting up my replies to my email, then automatically doing it. So all I need to do is go through and replies and go and edit them, and that shortcuts my day.
Well, there's all kinds of programmers that feel that AI can learn their jobs and do it better. It's very much like when robotics went into the factories. Now, if I've worked in all kinds of factories, and I saw how robotics took over as many jobs as possible on the floor of these factories. So many manufacturing positions were eliminated by automation. And this is automation that may come into the computer fields. Those people who are writing code, their jobs may be eliminated because just like a robot eliminated a lot of jobs on the assembly line. So that the increased computing power that AI is supposed to have be able to do may eliminate a lot of jobs. It may also be used. I mean, the applications of AI have even suggested that AI can devise means by which it can reduce labor in every field, no matter what. And that could be an issue going forward. That's one of the fears out there.
It is a fear, and it is a fear, and I understand it. But for example, for a small business person, the more effective that I am in getting rid of the mundane tasks, if I can get an AI application to get rid of my mundane tasks, then I live my life by the more exciting tasks.
Well, I remember hitchhiking one time, and a guy picked me up, and he told me about he had a business, and he bought a calculator. Back in those days, it was like a big hulking thing, right? And all it did was numbers. He said he paid $1,500, which was a fortune back then, but it saved him enormous amounts of money. That all can be done with a simple phone now. You can have 10 times the computing power or more in a simple phone, but he paid an incredible amount of money for that back then. What we're going to find here is that the computing power is going to go up. The computing power is going to be more efficient. And people are afraid of losing their jobs, particularly in the technology field.
I don't know that. I don't think. I think the technology field, yes, there's a potential, but I think in reality, what you end up with AI type of tools, AI related tools, is that the technology, that the computer programmers, the AI part of work together to get a result.
Well, my son's a computer programmer.
Yeah.
He's worked for Microsoft. He's worked for Oracle. He's worked for Google and whatever else. So now he's working for Ford, and Ford they laid off all of their temporary coders. They're all gone, and they gave them a presentation about AI. And the first thing he thought is it has moved along a lot faster than I have thought it has, and he could see clearly down the road that AI could replace him and all the most of the other coders that are left. So that was clearly his impression. And being a coder and being a computer scientist, that he he's got his MA in computer science, so I think if he's coming up with that conclusion, he has soundly made his decisions on sound evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
So that's my. So basically, I can't make any conclusion. I mean, I see a lot of fear and projections out there about AI. If you go onto the Videoverse, like I don't know, YouTube or something else like that, there is sadly there is this typical need to drum up people to watch your pod. So if you scare them, spook them, get them all emotional, then it brings more viewers to your place. I mean, do the Fox thing,
Yeah, but again, that's an ad, scaring people is an ad technique.
It's a technique of any kind. I mean, it's like scaring people is a technique for putting power over top of them. You can scare people in ads, of course, that I mean, seriously, could do anything like with fear. It's just one of fear and rage.
I think the biggest thing I think the biggest thing to fear from AI is not adopting it in some way or form. For example,
I think it's going to be inevitable that you have to adopt it. It's not going to be an issue. It's like you're going to have. Like, I mean, how many people don't have a computer anymore?
Yeah. Well,
I remember like 20, 30 years ago, I ain't getting one of those. I don't need one of those. I'll never need that. I'll never know how to use that. What's the point? Well, all those people have adopted a computer of one kind or another.
Yep. Well, one of the things I would also say to you is that lost the point. It's all right. We'll move on. Okay. So Israel is basically says it will decide which foreign troops can enter Gaza.
Yeah. Which means none. This is another. I can see why they would do that. Yeah, you wouldn't allow the troops of Afghanistan in there, or you wouldn't allow the troops of Iraq in there into Israel. Not only because it has a bad look to it, but to tell you the truth, I would allow the Kurdish soldiers of Iraq into Israel. But you really have to have a neutral type of country. Now, of course, Israel is going to look for countries that see everything its way.
Well, I was going to say that they'd be wanting, for example, the US, but they would reject people who sided on the side of Palestine, like the UK or Canada.
Yeah. So, actually, to tell the truth, although I'm most of the time, I don't think American troops belong in many places outside their own country, except at the invitation of that host country, like Japan, likes to have troops from Korea and so on.
US puts its troops in too many places, that's for sure.
Yes, but in this particular case, this should be a job, and also it should be a job for the UN. Israel doesn't like the UN because the UN is fair to tries to be fair to everyone. The UN, when it reports on Israel's war crimes and stuff, so it doesn't like the UN. I think the number one thing, seriously, is to get journalists in there. There's 82% of every building is damaged, and most of them are completely damaged. There is decades worth of rubble that have to go someplace, and nobody even knows where to put the rubble. Rather, before they even begin to rebuild, I can see they probably have a lot of artificial docks going in somewhere in Gaza, because of the amount of rubble. They could actually do a little bit of land filling and maybe make wharfs and things like that to make better port facilities. But
one of the things that's in this article is a picture of a Volvo digger trying to dig down to where they believe there'd be a site for dead bodies of hostages in Khan Yunis. But that particular picture, it's like the background, there's a number of buildings in there, 15, 20 buildings in there, but they're all very few windows are left in those buildings. And as you say, none are undamaged.
Yeah, there's nothing left, basically.
Yeah.
And they haven't even been able to provide the people with tents, which they've promised.
Yeah.
So there's, in fact, people are going back to their own homes because there is no other place to go. So they go back to their own homes and try to make a shelter out of the rubble that's left. And I saw that where there are some sort of slab of concrete that's on an angle, they can actually get in there and get a little shelter out of that. In the meantime, it is going to be a tremendously enormous task of moving this. Now, I don't trust Trump and I don't trust Netanyahu. They're going to try to force as many people out. That didn't work. They try to force everybody out. They try to shame the Arab governments for not taking on the Palestinians, but the Palestinians didn't want to move. So basically, Gaza was already one big refugee camp because 70% of the people that lived in Gaza were refugees from the Nakba. And I find it very frustrating the amount of ignorance there is at this time. Like 1948 was when Israel began, and Zionism began 50 years earlier than that. And at this time, I'm super surprised at the vast amount of ignorance that the average person has when this has been going on forever. And when the Israelis say they want to control all the situations right now, up until now, they've been able to control Biden, and now they've been controlling Trump pretty good. But right now, Trump seems to have been putting his foot down a little bit. He may realize this is the easiest way for him to get the coveted Nobel Peace Prize if he works on this one. The problem is you do not have an honest broker with Netanyahu. Absolutely not. You have this idea of greater Israel, where Israel, most of it, even Netanyahu, when he holds up maps of Israel, it includes Gaza and the West Bank. So you know that they have this vision of
Yeah.
a greater Israel, and that is on the back of their mind. So they're going to take every advantage of doing anything to pursue that. The thing is, Israel is the one that's calling the shots, and they should not be the ones calling the shots. They're the ones that just killed 70,000 civilians, or 70,000 Gazans, most of them civilians.
It needs to be an international force there, and the IDF needs to be backed away from that entire area.
Yeah, we have to. You can't trust Israel. We recently looked back to October 7th because of the second anniversary of the brutal attack on Israel by Hamas. It turns out that more and more lies are being spread about that. And remember the 40 babies being beheaded? Remember that? That was one of the first things they put out there. That was a complete and utter lie.
Yeah.
It turns out that a lot of the deaths of the Israelis were friendly fire deaths, and the brutality of the Hamas is brutal, but a little less brutal than is portrayed by the Israeli media. And so we have to sift out what are the lies and what are the exaggerations and everything. To me, Hamas and the Likud party are mirror images of themselves. One just has a lot more resources, and I think an international body has to be put in there. I'd like to see the UN in Jerusalem. I'd like to see the UN in the West Bank, and so on. The United States have allowed, and the West and Canada have allowed Zionism to go overboard that they have allowed it to get out of control. And you've got to take the power away. Netanyahu can't call the shots now. I mean, the IDF has just killed 70,000 people and maimed another 150,000, and most of them civilians. It just destroyed and it put to rubble, put homeless 2 million people. So they cannot be trusted. They have to, an outside body has to be the ones that have military or outside influences in Gaza, to be fair to the Gazans.
Well, the thing is about it is that in that article they were talking about a digger digging up a great big hole in order to try and get at some of the hostages, which were clearly in the tunnels in an area that they know about. But the thing is, we don't know. What we don't know is whether the tunnels were collapsed, whether even they're in this. I guess they wouldn't possibly know that they were in the same area. But I'd say that even that activity seems to be kind of a return to normality, because you've got kids now, in the area looking at the digger digging a great big hole in the street.
Yes. Well, there's going to be a lot of this.
There's going to be normality, but normality nonetheless.
Look, there's going to need an enormous amount of resources in there, and the idea that Israel was withholding food and water and stuff every time they thought Hamas wasn't doing what they're supposed to do, so they have the ultimate control of food and water and electricity and all that other stuff. But they do the collective punishment. Basically, like when the teacher says, well, who did that? Somebody throws something in the class and the teacher turns around, who did that? And nobody fesses up. And so the teacher punishes the whole class and it tries to shame that one person into fessing up. You remember those techniques they use? Yeah. Well, they're kind of like doing that, like, I know there's Hamas out there, so we're not going to feed you until you tell me who it is, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So is there anything else to be said on Gaza?
Yeah, look, a lot of people make a big deal about the Palestinians voting in Hamas back in 2007, and then after that they chased the Palestinian Authority out after that. But only 1/3 of Palestinians voted in that election.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
For one thing, you if you want a real understanding of it, Hamas got in there back 2007 in a vote, but at the time, only 1/3 of the Palestinians voted. A lot of them didn't even think that the vote was going to be any fair at all. Of that 1/3 that voted, only a small percentage actually was the percentage that made Hamas win.
Yeah,
and
of those,
wait a minute, the biggest issue here is that most of the people in Gaza weren't even alive at that time, because half the population are children. Yeah. And if you look at how many people actually voted in that, who are voting age now living in Gaza, it's a very minor amount. So you're trying to tell everybody, look, you voted for Hamas, so you're stuck with it. That's untrue.
Yeah. And in fact, actually, how many people alive in Gaza today actually voted for Hamas in 2007?
Exactly. There might be 5% of the population.
I was going to say 1%.
Yeah.
I was going to be generous of 1%, and from the changes that have happened.
Yeah. So the life today in Gaza, who was eligible to vote back then, was a small part of the population. So you can't really say, oh, well, you voted for it way back in 2007. Now you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
That's a misrepresentation of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. In fact, and that.
So it also has to, I like to point out too, that Hamas has it's a lot like the IRA. Basically, the IRA has a militant side, of course, the army of the IRA, but it also had Sinn Féin, which was a political wing of the party. So usually they did not coordinate one with the other. So Jerry Adams, for instance, can have complete plausible deniability of any outrage the IRA did if they went around and murdered somebody or whatever. I remember, anyway, we'll get into what I remember, but that seems to be the same thing as Hamas. Hamas can conduct itself as an ordinary government with its civilian wing. It organizes the hospital, as it organizes the roads. I mean, right down to traffic lights and electrical power outlets and all. It does what any ordinary government does. Everybody but there is this sort of terrorist wing of Hamas, which is the problem. It's like the terrorist wing of the IRA. Basically, you had Sinn Féin, which is political, right, that does all the political stuff, and then you had the IRA, which was the military terrorist part.
And I have one particular question. Now we're at ceasefire. When is Israel going to hold an election?
That's what Bibi does not want.
I know.
He does not want the election, and even Trump went in and proposed that they give him a pardon. Trump's big on pardons these days, and he's asked for a pardon for Bibi. Bibi and his sons are. I think Trump sees a lot of familiarity there because they're corrupt and beat into some sort of dubious business dealings.
Yeah. A Bibi pardon. Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah, he even got it wrong. He says, well, you should get, I hope that when he was talking to the Knesset, I hope you can pardon your president here. He's a great guy. I think you should pardon this president. Well, he's a prime minister, so he got that wrong.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I think we can kind of end it there.
Yes, we can, and we've already talked about Gaza, but I won't. I won't say much more about that, except that it's been an outrage. I hope the world can learn from this. It is an outrage that got out of hand, where the United States, the greatest power in the world, was so frightened of a little power, a little uh, 10 million person country like Israel doing what it was doing to its Palestinian neighbors, what it continues to do. And I believe probably the world's learned a lot about APEC and the power it has in the United States. My biggest concern, of course, is once people begin to get very aware of what APEC has been doing and how it's been controlling a lot of the political outcomes in the United States, there will be a backlash of anti-Semitism. I hope that it doesn't happen at all. But people being people, you don't know how they're going to think.
See it happening, yes, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it has to be exposed, but on the other hand, I fear the results of that in many ways. But when a country of 10 million is calling the shots in the Middle East, I think we have to really understand what's going on there. I don't know, but let's hope that some sort of rational outcome happens here. And I don't think it's going to happen too soon, because of Christian Zionism is a big thing in the United States. Particularly, Republicans require Christian Zionists to vote for them, and they come out and vote. So I think it's going to be a hard walk forward. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu.
Bye.